Oh, yeah, I did.
All right, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to Lions Nation Unite. I'm Spencer Raxter. He's easy. We're the Woodward Heavyweights. Chrissie is in here as well. Herman Moore will be joining us soon. We're Lions Nation Unite. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the YouTube channels. Lions coming off a dominant win. We're just putting it out there already. This is something I expected. I know he's a little scared for it, but the Titans just got absolutely mollywopped in Detroit, 52-14. Amazing performance. Started off a little shaky at the beginning. Titans had a couple nice drives, but then the defense settled in and took care of business. It was a great game.
It was one of the weirdest games I've ever watched in my entire life. Just straight up. I'm not like it's
That's a
like,
pretty big statement.
It's truly one of the weirdest games I've ever watched. I mean, Jared Goff had 2 touchdowns today, but only like 60-something yards on the day.
80
like, that was like
yeah.
Yeah, I think they took some off of the sack numbers or whatever it was. Like, I don't know. It was just a weird game, but a good game. We almost beat, or actually, I think we either almost beat or tied the highest score in Detroit Lions history. And I think the last time we scored like 52, I believe Herman Moore was a Detroit Lion. I could be mistaken on that one, but I'm pretty sure it was 1997. They said
that would have been true. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
I thought the weird thing for me is I actually felt like watching a contender, but it's honestly like the first time that I felt that way. Now I've been around the team for 20 years, and even when we were really good, you always kind of were worried that something was gonna like shift or crack or something, and it was very weird. This was like the first game I was watching. I'm like, yeah, I guess they're just gonna just consistently be consistent.
It was just domination on all three facets of the game. We got a lot to talk about, obviously, with players, Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, Kerby Joseph getting an interception, a lot of great things that happened in this game. But we got to start off with what was truly the story of the game and why this game felt so weird and why they put up 51 points with only 80 yards passing from Jared Goff was the special teams. David Phipp and that special teams unit, they had – with the interception included, Khalil Dorsey and Kalif Raymond had over 300 return yards from punts and kickoffs, consistently giving Jared Goff and the offense short fields to work with, and they were taking advantage of it. It was insane. And, of course, Kalif Raymond took a punt to the house. It was amazing special teams play the whole day for Dave Phipp's units.
Yeah, and it feels like when was the last time that we've had, like, just with the game the way it is these days, just like a huge special teams day.
Yeah, and it's crazy. Well, it's not that crazy because, like, Kalif has been an all-pro special teamer, like, previously as a Detroit Lion. But this year, it's been shout out to Khalil Dorsey as well. But, like, it's felt like so many those kick returns could have gone, punt returns specifically, I should say. And then today, he really could have had 2 of them. He just slowed up on one and tried to cut inside. I don't think he realized he had somebody behind him. But Kalif Raymond, one hell of a game by him today. We all kind of talked about the Jameson Williams suspension lead up to this week. That was the hot news of the week outside of trade rumors. And I think the Detroit Lions offense kind of proved a lot of the things that people have been saying, at least I know myself specifically, is like we have so many weapons to operate around that it's just like I don't want to sound disrespectful to Jameson Williams or dismissive of what he brings to this offense, but we can roll either way. We got so many guys that we could roll either way. Then to get in those scoring situations without any type of rhythm for that offense, without the buildup of traveling down the field and still being able to execute. Again, just Jared Goff, Ben Johnson, these guys being within the system, having that cohesiveness and chemistry. It's really shined out there in the field today. And I'm proud of my Detroit Lions. 2 times now we've seen Hendon Hooker out there, and we're not even in double-digit weeks yet. It's insane.
Yeah, it's truly the how do you want it offense. As I say, you lose Jameson Williams, who was looking like one of, if not the focal points of your offense this year in the early games, and you have other guys step up. National Tight End Day. You got 2 different tight ends catching touchdowns in Brock Wright and Sam LaPorta. What's that?
Who came up with National Tight End?
I don't know. But whoever it was, good on you for making it a Sunday because they show out. 14 touchdowns, 14 different tight ends have scored touchdowns today. It's the most in NFL history on a single day of football. It's just insane stuff. And we saw Sam LaPorta stepped up big in this game. With the few passing yards that Jared Goff had, the majority of them went to Sam LaPorta.
Yeah, I was a little privy to a particular play that was practiced this week, and I shot Spinny the text before the game, said, hey,
He did.
you might want to lock this one in, and came through. It shot to Dave Montgomery, man.
Mm-hmm.
That guy, 3-yard touchdown, may not look like much, but he did on the run. There was 2 defenders in the area. Yeah, it was a good ball. It was such a good ball. Our guy, Matthew Broder, texted me and said, that was a better ball than Jared Goff.
It was a tight spiral. Like it was a good throw. David Montgomery used to play quarterback in high school. So, that's you love to see that. Ben Johnson just continuously diving into his seemingly endless bag of tricks, drawing up another one. I remember you did call that exactly. You said that, Sam LaPorta, they've been practicing David Montgomery to Sam LaPorta. Watch out for that today. I blew it away. I was like, I think they'd be practicing that for Green Bay. They don't need that against Tennessee. They're going to save that for Green Bay.
You talked me almost out of it. I was like, yeah, I guess that does make sense. But you wouldn't want to get that in like an extra week before the actual game, right? Like, yeah, no, we saw it today.
That's what Ben Johnson said when they asked him about using all of them against the Cowboys. He's like, we practice a new one every week. So we got plenty of trick plays for your ass. This is
my bag is deep, son. You know what I'm saying? How do you want it?
It's awesome. He's the best play caller in the NFL. He's the best offensive coordinator in the NFL. And this is what I talked about. If you guys watched Woodward Heavyweights at all, shout out to Woodward Heavyweights, 5 to 7, Woodward Sports, check it out. But I had a big proclamation that this offense this year wouldn't just be the best in the NFL this year. It would be one of the best in NFL history. It would be a historic level offense if Jameson Williams became what we all thought he was. Yeah. Well, he did. He's here. Like, once he gets back, he's not here right now. But once he gets back and this offense is really clicking, I'm talking greatest show on turf 2.0 type stuff. And we're seeing that in these past couple games.
Yeah, 100% agree. And my proclamation wasn't so much based around Jameson Williams, but, and I always say his date just so they can go back and look, 6/22/24. When your boys hit the podium, not podium, but
you're gonna get a tattoo of it.
Yeah, I want to make it sound sweet. Yeah, 6/22, never forget. No, but we said, Jared Goff, this would be his best year within Ben Johnson's scheme, Ben Johnson's offense, and a lot of it had to do with just that continuity he's had with all the pieces around him. And again, absent Jameson Williams, didn't skip a beat. Well, the most points scored for the Detroit Lions since Herman Moore's Detroit Lions scored 55 in 1997. Herm, we were just together Saturday talking about your record-breaking performance. Were you sweating that one out today? Like, I hope they don't do it, or do you want them to do it?
No, I always want them to do it. I always want them to break records, man. It's this has been a tremendous run, and think about this. Everyone's looking at this. I think this was a trap game. This was one where they came in clearly the favorites. I think we talked about the spread was the largest probably amongst the teams around the league, but they did what they were supposed to. A little rocky in the beginning, but ultimately they stepped up and they did what they were supposed to do to a team like this, and that was handle their business at home. And it took a little bit, and it was all phases. They're missing a couple players that are key players in their run this season. But you wouldn't know that unless you've been following the Detroit Lions. And so kudos to them taking care of business at home. Big win. We said it was going to be they were going to blow them out. Mm-hmm. And it looked like that wasn't going to happen in the beginning, but ultimately they held true to their form. And what a great day, great victory for this team.
That's something you love to see. Like you said, they're down Jameson Williams. They got off to a little rocky start in this game, but once they found their stride with some big help from the special teams, the offense really kicked it in a high gear. And Herman, the guy that I feel like isn't getting talked about enough for what he did in this game, is Jahmyr Gibbs. He had the one touch, 70-yard scamper down the sidelines. After scoring a big touchdown like that, the biggest of his career, what's the instant reaction for the athlete coming back to the sideline?
There's a celebration for him. He's kind of been overshadowed because of the way David Montgomery's been playing. He's been Montgomery's been a red zone juggernaut, and he's been the guy that's had the tough runs. And Jahmyr's been the one that's kind of stretched it to the sidelines. he's been the one that's kind of been the more finesse, even though he runs really, really hard. But, he catches an edge, and he showed what happens. And if you get him in space, if he's coming full steam ahead, he is a tough person to figure out because he can cut on a dime. And because of that, you look at the bad angle by the safety, and all of a sudden he's gone. And he's gone to the house. And that shows the speed. That shows they have that knockout punch, that big play capability. We haven't seen them get over top with the passes. But you get someone like Jahmyr Gibbs, who's able to break that type of a run. David Montgomery can do that as well. You come back to the sideline, you know what? There's adulation. There's love from everyone, because I think that also, I'm sure he's been feeling some type of way. He's part of a dynamic duo, but he's considered almost like the Robin in that field, right? He's considered the one that when the other one needs a little bit of a break, or, he's going to be something different. But they're two totally different backs. Equally, in my opinion, both are necessary in that running game for this team.
Yeah. And I joked with you about it easy on our, on the heavyweights show, because you were a little worried about that Titans defensive line with the guys they have in there. They got some big names. Now, T'Vondre Sweat didn't play, but were you impressed with how well? I know the one scamper for 70 yards makes the rushing stats look better than they really were, but even when they needed a first down, it seemed like Gibbs could do it against a good defense in the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't so much worried about the game in itself. I didn't want to mess around too many of those betting lines, because this Tennessee Titans defense, that's been the one lifeline of this team, kind of. And I wanted to keep it. I don't know. I just didn't want to burn anybody's pockets. But Jahmyr Gibbs, we kind of talked about it last week, is like you can almost put a half a unit on him to go over his over under almost every single week, because it just takes one. I mean, that run that he had this week, he looked faster than the one he had last week against the Minnesota Vikings. Like, it just, who knew he had another gear for when he burned those guys for 30? And maybe it's because he had to juke somebody along the way last week, but he's something else, man. I mean, that's the only way I could put it. It sounds like something my granny would say, but it's just true. He's something else. You something else. Jahmyr Gibbs, Sonic, whatever nickname you want to give him. He's the man right now.
Yeah, I was curious, and a lot was made about his speed. And when you look at typically players on camera, they run at a different speed than they will in person. I can tell you first and foremost, you're on the field, things move very quickly out on the field. When you look that fast on TV, when you look that fast and you're sitting in the stands and you're looking at a player and he's hitting the edge like that, or he's attacking that line of scrimmage so fast, I think it understates really the speed and the true power that's coming behind him as well. Because if you think about Jahmyr Gibbs, he does not run soft. I mean, you look at these are two of the hardest running backs. I was a big DeAndre Swift fan, because I know a lot of people talk about his injury and all these other things, but he runs similar. I mean, he doesn't run. I thought he was a tougher, like, here's a tough back. He kind of attacks the line of scrimmage. He attacks the tacklers. But these guys are something different. And I've never been like, I got to watch running backs. But I love watching these two guys when the football's in their hands, because you kind of sit on the edge going, if they get a crease, you think it's going to be either a big play or they're gone. And it wasn't because of what we saw today. It's because of what's already been there. We've seen flashes of it. And then when you start to finally see that explosion, man, that's got to be scary if you're a safety. And man, if you miss, it's game over.
He's gone. Yeah, you're not chasing him down.
One more thing, that speed too. If you go and watch back that run, there were two secondary members, not just defenders, secondary members who had angles on Jahmyr Gibbs in that run. And he just left him in the dust like the Roadrunner.
Yeah, running by the corners, man. They're running by, and so you think about it. The only real line of defense for these guys is you got to stop them at the line. You can't really count on your cornerbacks and your smaller defensive backs, even if they're decent sized, 5'11", 6 foot, tackling these guys. They shed that first tackler. They're able to break those tackles. They're able to break through the arm tackles of linemen, of linebackers. So even the pure strength of these players are amazing. And so we've never really talked a lot about the physical fitness and the training of the players and just how well put together they all seem. I mean, they seem very physical. You look at everyone from the linemen to the linebackers to the offensive line. You don't see any guys that look out of shape. You see versatile players, you see athletic players, and the development over the time. I'm sure they've trimmed some of these guys out. I'd be to see how they've morphed in some of these senses. Some have gotten bigger, some have gotten leaner, some have gotten more, in terms of certain athletic pieces that they need for that position. And I think they've taken a totality and a much more total approach to the player than just the mental piece or whether they're athletic ability when they come in. So there's a lot we can uncover. But first and foremost, before I get going, man, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's on the stream. Thank you so much for coming out, being a part of our show and popping in, because, we're dedicated to this channel. We're dedicated to you, the fans, and we love to come in and see just your excitement when the game's over. So thanks a lot. Big shout out.
Herman, do you have the comments up this time? Because last time you didn't, and you were wondering.
No, I got them up, but I got my camera. I'm just kind of old school. I got my camera kind of sitting on the side.
Because I'm trying to edge in some comments.
So it's over the side. But no, by all means, you can go ahead and give some shout outs. I love giving shout outs to them. Mike's in. I want to say what's up to Mr. Detroit City, always in. So as they continue to go through, let's pop them up. Make sure that we give a shout out to all the people that are joining the channel and joining the show, because without them we couldn't do that. What's up, Zach? Zachary.
And we got a giveaway, right, guys? We got a giveaway.
Yes, we are going to give away. You saw we posted it on social media earlier today. If you didn't, one of Herman's amazing blankets. It is Tennessee Titans and Detroit Lions themed. We're going to be giving it away. So throw who you think was the MVP of this game in the chat. We're going to pick someone randomly to get one of those blankets. If you don't get picked, you still want one, you can go to hermlow.com. We got a lot of merch on there. That blanket is going to be a hot seller, especially after what the Lions did to the Titans. But Herman, before we get, I see a lot of people in the chat. Shout out Raymond and these guys. They're talking about the Packers.
Wait a minute. I got to give a 2 up, a 2 down. I got somebody in from Virginia, man. I appreciate that. TJ, appreciate you joining.
There we go. Yeah. Lions Nation U, worldwide. America's team, all the way from Virginia. We love it. And people in the chat are talking about the Packers matchup next week, which I definitely want to hear your thoughts on. But before we get too far away from it, we talked about it earlier and how Kalif Raymond, Khalil Dorsey, and Dave Phipps' special teams were setting up the Lions offense for constant success in this game. It felt like every time they started a drive, it was in Tennessee territory. If your special teams is setting you up like that, Herman, how confident is the offensive unit going out there?
I mean, you're licking your chops right there. You're drawing straws to see who's going to get the ball next, because you want that play, because that's going to lead potentially to a big play or some points. But let's give kudos, man, to special teams. Let's give kudos to the starting position. The fact that they had turnovers, they were creating I've never seen offensive starts. I'd be curious to see what the average offensive start was for them in the first half, because, Jared Goff, I think it was only 28 yards that he threw for, and they were up there. They scored 35 points in the first half. That in itself, you can't even make sense of it, even if you were trying to make sense of it, because how do you score 35 points when your quarterback only throws for 35 or 28 yards? And then it's not like you have a long field. So kudos to those guys. You mentioned that Kalif Raymond was on fire. You get some big returns here and there. It makes a big difference. It's all about down and distance. It's about field position. But gosh, man, I mean, if you want to, I wouldn't want to be on the Titans sideline at that point, because it was like, this is just going to be a tough road, because we can't go 80 yards to their 20 yards every time we touch the ball. Right. And so that was a great piece for the Lions. I don't think we'll ever see that again.
It was awesome, man. Easy. You saw they're talking about the David Montgomery pass. Herman, you mentioned it. Jared Goff didn't have to throw the ball that much. The best throw of the game came from your running back, and Easy called it earlier, right?
My running back on fantasy? Mine.
Yeah, that is your running back.
Hold on. I'm going to jump back real quick. Wait a minute. Dale, what's up, man? First of all, welcome to the chat. He said this is the depth of this team is the best of any Lions team ever.
Ever.
Herman, can you make it so we can hear you better? You're a little low.
A little low? Okay. I'll go out and I'm going to change.
Don't worry about it. Just talk louder.
No. I just got to change my mic over. Hold on. Let's see if we can change some audio here. I got the iPad microphone. I'm going to change it over. Tell me if that's better.
The thing that people won't know is I will get in trouble if we leave a broadcast and it was like, why didn't you stop everything and tell me? So I have to make sure.
No, here we go. So hopefully that's better, right?
That's way better.
All right, cool. So I was using the iPad microphone. Maybe that thing's locked out somewhere. I've been switching over to iPad. I'm an Android and I'm a PC guy, so I've been switching over. But anyway, listen, Dale, I just want to hit that one real quick because I always got to defend my people, man. I got to defend the former teams, man. We've had some great teams. Does this team have the most depth across all positions? I think from a development standpoint, because this is an important piece. And I'm glad you brought this up because we talked about this because there's different era, there's different players. Like I wouldn't even start to go down it. We'll use that for another show. But it is probably the best and most developed Detroit Lions team in totality that I've ever seen, even from my days playing, where you can go down the line and you can see consistency in the players, not only from the mental to the physical to the trust in the coach and the teammate, the environment, the upstairs, the guys that are in the recruiting offices and the ones that are looking for the scouting departments and stuff, and they're looking for players. It seems to most together that I've ever seen this Detroit Lions organization in my entire time being here. And I came in 1991. So I just wanted to throw that out there. While I agree that they have depth, and I think they're one of the deepest teams, I think it's just from the development standpoint, but I'm not going to let like Mel Gray, who was repeatedly running back touchdowns, or guys that were taking punt returns back for touchdowns, special teams. You wouldn't know that unless I don't know how old you are. And then offensively, I think you're going to have some offensive and defensive side to the ball. I think there's been some pretty good units that have been here. But I think total team in one place put together, yeah, there's some things. But Chrissie, you had a good point when we discussed this earlier. And I don't know if this is a good time to share it when we talked about like what makes this team different than teams that we've seen in the past.
Yeah, and I mentioned it before you were able to get on at the beginning about how this just seemed like a dominant team, really, with no questions for the first time since I've really been a deep follower of the team, which is 20 years. And what I really think is the difference maker, though, is the coach and the ownership cohesion or cohesiveness, because if you're making knee-jerk responses to a coach, or you're responding to fans, or you're not necessarily completely bought in or completely all on the same page, it can make the overarching leadership of the team kind of, different. So to me, I think it just really shows that there's a unification, it seems, across the board. And that just really shows to me on the field. It's like, and I think that shows to the depth where it's like, it's the success is kind of coming from being, on the same page, necessarily the marquee players as much, if that makes sense.
No, it does. And Dale, I got you. Definitely. I think when you talk about playing together on all three phases of one unit, I have to agree with you on that. And then definitely, TJ, that was a great comment. This team is no longer just about business. It's truly a brotherhood and sisterhood with the ladies on the staff, right? I agree, man. This is top to bottom. Anywhere you look, the organization is definitely put together. It's thriving because of some of these other things that organizations, if you think you can just plug and play players and build winners, it takes a little bit more than that. And we're seeing that play out in real time.
And I think, some of the most important reason is they're out there having fun. Like this is, they're making millions. This is a business, but it's still a game. And I want to ask you, Herman, if you were in a Ben Johnson offense where you're busting out these crazy plays every week, we saw again, David Montgomery threw a touchdown. What would you want your trick play to be? Would you want to drop back and throw one on a pitch? Would you want to hit the double reverse? What would Herman Moore's trick play be if it was
his arm on Saturday?
You know what I want it to be, and I want to make it so that it's got. I'm gonna do one of two things. I would either want Barry Sanders to have it hike directly to him and throw me a fade route. I'm keeping simple, and I'm keeping consistent. Have him throw me a fade route on the right side, cornered end zone. We've seen him try and throw some passes. Sometime they were awful, but that, or let a lineman come around on like a reverse or something like that and throw me a pass or something. I don't know, like a double reverse with lineman. All I know is this: they are having.
Lomas got the arm.
No, man. Lomas is a lineman, man. He doesn't have that. Not many linemen. These are some athletic linemen. I'll tell you this: you would have never had Lomas go out on a passing play. But I will say this: it is exciting. It's fun. I think the touchdown to Raymond was cool because if you look at the corner, man, he's still running. he might still be running right now to go get a drink and popcorn or to go on the sideline thinking he's going to get Gatorade. And then he reverses field. He's wide open. St. Brown. Now, I don't know what anyone was thinking. I know he's not in there on a goal line package for no reason. Even if he's there for a distraction, I man him up and I don't let him go anywhere. Completely wide open. And then while we're sticking with that, listen, you're throwing the ball 4 times on the 2-yard line. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Monty's a little banged up from last week. One fresh for Green Bay.
I was just clapping like, thank you. If you want to keep playing that kind of football, hey, by all means, Green Bay, take a play out of their playbook, study the Titans playbook for the next time when you face the Lions, and we'll be all on that. We love it.
Herman, you're quiet again, by the way. Speak for everybody. Yeah.
Man, I don't know what's going on here. I only have 2 mics. I have a mic for my camera, and I have a mic for my computer. I'll switch it again. Thank you, StreamYard.
If you're using an iPad, you might want the microphone might be on the other side if you have it like. I don't know, man. I'm just trying
I don't know my experiment. I can hear him. He's good.
Okay.
And anybody speaking about past teams real quick, if you missed it earlier, 52 points a lot, but Herman and his squad 55, and that's a franchise record. I just want to show some love right there too.
What game was that? Was that the Vikings?
That was a division game against the Bears.
The Bears.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We spanked them. Yeah.
And speaking of division game, you got the biggest game of the year coming up now in Lambeau against the Packers. Packers won today. Jordan Love did go out with a groin injury, and Jair Alexander also went out limping. I didn't hear anything about that, but it didn't look good for him either. We'll obviously get more updates on that. But you're going into Green Bay. This is for, possibly first place in the NFC North, possibly first place in the NFC as a whole. What does that mean to Lions players? What was that like to you going into the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field, even though it's not going to be frozen just yet? But you always get up for a game in Green Bay, right?
I'm always good for it, but I'm trying to figure out there's no competitive advantage for Green Bay to still play outside. They need to get a dome stadium. Let's just go ahead and get that out the way for real. So hopefully you could hear when I said that.
Just whenever we went, so Lambeau is a special place because it's still a old stadium. So first of all, as females, you can't just walk in to the stadium because you'd have to go through the locker room. So the women, all like 3 of us that were there, got to get on one of those golf carts and be driven in the freezing cold, usually in December, all through the rafters and all these different places to get to the press box. And then you'd get down on the field and there'd be a little sign that I still have a picture of, and it says, "Please enjoy this special place, but stay off the field."
I'll just have to say this, but with Green Bay, always a special place because you're playing the legacy. You're playing the nostalgia of Lambeau and the fans and all those things. But I guess the dominance that they used to have is gone on the entire NFL. No one cares that they're playing at Lambeau. One thing you really care about more than anything is probably the weather. You rather have it so the surface is good. You want to be playing on frozen fields. And that's why I say I don't think right now Green Bay needs to hold out any longer, or Chicago, or any of these places that aren't covered stadiums. In the NFL, it's about quality of the game, because I think that's going to give you the greatest competitive piece. It's no longer the elements. Players, if they didn't learn anything when we saw the big play when Calvin Johnson caught a pass and he got lost in, was it Philadelphia, and you couldn't even see him, and no one cares. We're in Detroit, man. We're in Michigan. It's so what? We just don't. It's more of an inconvenience than a fear factor. So right now, the only thing that the Lions are going to have any fear of when it talks about going to Green Bay will be the fact that they are playing well. They seem to have depth in their positions. Their defense is playing well. Offensively, they have some receivers who can burn you and to make plays. They got a running back that can also run the football. And it's a competent football team and a competent coaching staff. But do they have holes like any other team? Absolutely. And they won't have the intimidation factor, I'll tell you that, when they play the Lions. So this is that's going to, I think so far, that's going to be the game of the year.
And you look at it, and I agree with you, but by the way, with Lambeau, it's just unnecessarily dangerous too. To like be it's more dangerous to be playing in the rain or the snow or something because it gets slippery, could catch an ACL. You don't even have to, that doesn't have to be a factor. Put a dome on your stadium.
Right.
Jesus. Like what are we doing?
Yeah, it won't matter. I mean, I like what we're seeing with this team, and I like what we've seen on the road. I was going to ask you guys to chime in. Like, it used to be Lions are dome babies and all this other stuff, and then playing on certain surfaces gave you competitive advantages. And now because players have played not only collegiately but pretty much anywhere, they've played on all the surfaces, and the surfaces now are kind of mirrored. And I like what, in terms of the way this team, it seems like they even control the game plan and the game play based on environment, surface. There's just a deeper piece, and I don't know if it's because they have access to so much more intelligence and statistics and analytics that builds into your playbook. We had to guess a lot of that back in our time. We had to just kind of do the manual stuff. But right now, there's really truly some science and technology that is behind decisions that's being made in terms of play calling, players and the plays that you call, players that you target. So you're able to make decisions and put game plans together a lot quicker.
Speaking of players that you target, Easy, Chrissy, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this too. We see it in the chat here from Chad Edmonds talking about getting a maximum deal at the trade deadline. See Shift God saying Josh Uche was a healthy scratch for the Patriots this week. And we kind of saw it here, even against Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph, when they had the ball and they weren't turning it over, he was sitting back there. He was kind of picking apart the Lions defense a little bit because they didn't have the ability to pressure him. How imperative is it for them to get a guy? I think we can give up the hope of Max Crosby and Myles Garrett. Teams have come out and told ESPN that those guys aren't being moved. But Josh Uche, Zadarius Smith, you got to get somebody, right, Herman?
Oh, you do. And you have to get an impact player. McNeil and some others, I mean, you see there's a little bit of pressure, but if the pressure doesn't get there, and that's what Coach Campbell talked a lot about, we have to be able to not just get the pressure, but we have to also be able to finish the play. We have to be able to complete the sack or knock down the passes or all those things. And if they can't get there, I mean, you had one player that was just offensively, you had a quarterback and a receiver playing pitch and catch, and they were doing damage. And then they did have competent tight ends that unfortunately they weren't able to, fortunately for the Lions, but unfortunately for Tennessee, they weren't able to get loose. But there are holes in the secondary. There are places where there are exposure elements for this defensive secondary if pressure doesn't get there. And I know that was probably the biggest concern. If we go back to last week, and Coach Campbell talked about if he had one big concern on defense, it was the fact that they couldn't apply pressure quicker because they are counting the seconds, because the more you give quarterbacks to stand in the pocket and receivers to run, somebody's eventually going to become free.
Yeah, I agree. And Easy, I know you want somebody. Are you still think it's going to happen?
Yeah, definitely someone's coming this way. I want to say this real quick too. You guys keep dreaming about Myles Garrett. That the Mark Davis, the one who emailed ESPN. I guess the Browns never actually said anything. So keep dreaming that one on. But yeah, Josh Uche, healthy scratch. I told you a little something that I knew about today's game plan, and Josh Uche is also a little something they may be acquiring at some point soon, or at least I've had conversations about. So I gotta assume it's Detroit Lions. Next week is the last game before the deadline's over, at least for us. Yeah, they're coming. I want someone. I want a bigger name guy. I want that tier 1 guy. I think it's not embarrassing. It doesn't feel embarrassing, at least, because we're coming away, we're winning these games. But like, no way in heck should Mason Rudolph be picking you apart like that. And then no disrespect to Sam Darnold, I know he's having a pretty good year overall, but like same thing with him. Like those are just two guys. If it's anybody else in those situations, man, like if a healthy Jordan Love or whatever type of caliber quarterback you're going to see in the playoff, that's dangerous, man. You don't want to give those guys that amount of time to throw. And not even like that, you saw Mason Rudolph finish like a 20-yard run today too. Sam Darnold did the same thing. Beyond time to throw, beyond time to make the decision to run.
Yeah, it's tough. They're gonna need to get some help, but I wholeheartedly believe they will. We've talked about that a lot. But looking forward to Green Bay, I'm extremely excited in this game. Herman talked about how much it means. This is the biggest game of the year. And like we said, not even just for the North, but for the NFC in a whole. It looks like 3 of the top 4 seeds in the NFC could be all in the North. It's crazy how good this division is this year. And this is our first crack at the Packers team. Like I said, a little banged up, though. That's why I think, personally, they didn't use Montgomery as much in this game, was because we saw him get a little banged up in Minnesota, and Gibbs was on a tear. I think they wanted to just keep Monty ready for the frozen tundra. So when you're out there on Lambeau Field, you got the hammer, you got Knuckles, and he's going to be hitting you. So David Montgomery should be fully healthy and ready to go for Lambeau.
He will be, and they're going to get a very heavy dose of the Sonic and Knuckles, man. They're gonna get a heavy dose of the Lions really picking them apart. And it was interesting. One thing I heard some of the commentary today on TV, and the Lions they keep you on edge. Whether it's special teams, whether it's fourth down play, whether it just kind of screws you up a little bit because you just don't know. You haven't seen this type of consistent. Now, I won't call it even trick plays because I think it's become part of their playbook. The way they run their players, the way they cycle people in, they are truly setting up things. Sometimes there's just a list of plays that you call in a playbook as a coach. When you look at a team like Green Bay, they're gonna be excited. The fans are going to be excited no matter where it is, unless the game gets really out of hand. And let's say the Lions are up by a couple, 2-3 touchdowns, and the game seems like it's out of play. But other than that, they're going to always be a factor. The team always, they have a quarterback and quarterbacks that can scramble, who can get out and make plays on the perimeter. And so I think this is probably the team that will so far match up the best against the Lions when you go across the different units, whether special teams, defense and versus offense, offense versus defense. So this will be a true challenge for them. I think some of the strongest teams in the postseason, depending on how these teams finish out the rest of their runs, are going to come from the NFC North. We knew it as a black and blue division. It was a NFC Central division when I played, and it's kind of gotten back to that. I'm telling you, I've been proud to see it. I almost felt like, when we look at the ACC and the SEC and the Big Ten, I felt like the NFC North had become like, one of the other, in the power divisions. They were kind of sitting towards the bottom, and now they've come on strong, and they have truly talented players and talented coaches and schemes. And but the trick plays, I am a little envious, a little bit, because you got to have athletic players to be able to do it as well. So that says a lot about the confidence of the play calling there.
You talk about those trick plays and having the athletes to do it. The Bears just tried to sneak in an offensive lineman a carry at the goal line, and he straight up coughed it up, and the Commanders took it all the way down to their red zone.
No way.
One score game, by the way, too. 7-12.
That's sad, right? That's sad.
Nope.
Sometimes, listen.
Screw the Bears.
Just do things that just make no sense. Like sometimes you just got to just say, you know what? There's a time and place for everything. It is. And the Lions have gotten away with some things, but it's calculated. It's not like they're saying, for them to do it as part of their system. For some other teams to try and say, hey, let's pull some out of this, what the Lions are doing. Let's try and do some of this cool stuff they're doing. No, it doesn't work that way. This is a team that's practicing that over and over and over. This is normal to them. This is natural. It looks fun to us. And I saw in the comments someone say, you know what? This is the Lions are a fun team to watch. And they are a fun team to watch, because it's not just ho-hum and you're just sitting there just being bored. No matter where they are, there's something to be excited about. So, I mean, this is exciting. This is really, really, really exciting to be
excited?
a part. I'm very excited. and I could tell you as a former player, not all former players and alum get excited about the teams, because there's been some type of a bad blood. There's been some type of a bad break. And you really, truly only cheer for the players. You really only cheer for the coaches. But I find myself, wanting to break that mold slowly but surely, and you want to cheer for the entire organization, because you feel like it's one. You don't feel like it's just part over here and part over there, and there's all this other stuff going on. I feel like this team truly cares about its players. I feel like the players truly care about management and those people, and saying, you know what, we're family. Now you have a team. You have something to be happy about. And now the team.
Man, I feel this.
But listen, and then
This
you got
excitement.
the fans. I mean, look at our chats, man. When they come on here, they're beating their chests, and I am proud to say I am a Detroit Lion fan. We used to hear when people jumped on, oh, you know, you're a fair weather fan, and don't jump on the bandwagon there. We're like, you know what? Anyone who left, come back. Come back. Come back to Jamaica. You know, come back, man. You know, we're telling you, come back, man, and be a part of the organization, be a part of everything. So, yeah, I'm excited. I'm a little excited about it.
Do you have an excited dance?
I can't do it right now in fear that I might just mess up my setup here I got going on. You know, I don't have my true setup that I normally have when I'm chilling. But I'll tell you this, for those of you, and don't judge me when I say this, whether it's a mocktail or whether you get your regular yak, sometimes we have to come on here and celebrate how we celebrate, because I want us to be, this got to be a fun spot for us, whether we're talking smack or whether we're talking about this team, whether we're celebrating or we're talking about what they could do better or whatever it may be. Let's enjoy this moment. Let's enjoy what we're doing right now.
And I enjoy it. Everybody, this team enjoys it. Like you said, they're having fun out there. And we talked about it a little bit earlier, but I did want to ask you, because I don't know if you heard, but today is National Tight Ends Day. And I think there's 14 or 15 tight ends that scored touchdowns already today, which is a record for a single day in the NFL. We saw 2 Detroit Lions tight ends get touchdowns. First of all, was Tight Ends Day a thing when you were playing? And second of all, can we thank the guy who decided to make it a Sunday? Because like these guys just get
also
fed.
like ice cream day or like taco day or
my birthday is National Talk Like a Pirate Day.
I'm getting jealous because it's like where's the National Diva Day, right? For the receivers, like
that's every day.
We get to just dance and just do all the other stuff. Like
you guys dance every Sunday.
Where's the National Spike the Ball Day, and where's the Dunk the Goalpost Day or something? I don't know, man. It's like the Tight End Day, you know, the Tight End University, Tight End Day, Tight End, you know, fraternity of brotherhood and everything they got going on. You know, that seems divisive. It seems like they're getting their own thing. We're not going to allow that to happen. The tight ends had a good day.
Yeah, tight ends got to make up their mind. Like, are you an offensive lineman or you a receiver? You know, pick a side, man. But our guy from Iowa, Sam LaPorta, he was a little quiet earlier in the season, and I think everybody, except for the sports books, expected him to step up with Jameson Williams being suspended for these 2 games. He went out there, and like I said earlier, Goff only had 80 yards, but about 50 of them were to Sam LaPorta.
I'm still trying to think about this. I want you to think of this. If you're looking at stats, and you come in and you look at this game, and you go, what is it, 52-14 or whatever, and you go, Jared Goff threw for 85 yards, 3 touchdowns, had like a 130 rating, and their average starting field position was inside of Tennessee's, you know, side of the field. You go, what happened? And it wasn't as crazy as you think. It was just a complete game, with the exception of the first 3 and out because of the sack. And then, you know, they didn't quite get some things going. They were trading scores. And then all of a sudden it was like, okay, somebody pull the plug on the opponent. So you're not doing anything else the rest of the game. And you're just going to look like this is going to be fun. It's amazing how I meant to tell you this. It was always about, if you could show in a dynamic way the many ways in which you can win football games. You think about the line. You think about since Coach Campbell's been here. And I had to put my mind around that today. The ways in which they have won football games. There's not like a way. It's just they just win. And how do you plan for that? Other than to say, guys, we have to go out here, if you're an opponent, and say, we have to play damn near flawless football. Or at least we can't beat ourselves. Like, beating yourselves is, forget about it. It's just, I love it because I don't know how they're going to play against Green Bay. How do you? Do any of us know how that's going to turn out? Do we know, like, it's going to be a hefty dose of this? And yeah, we know they're going to run the ball. Yeah, we know they're going to call offensive plays. Yeah, we know the defense is going to have some trouble here and there. But we don't know. That's what makes it fun. But we know they're going to be competitive. And we know they're going to go out and do their thing. Come on, man. Come on, Lions. That's what I'm talking about.
At defense, man, they let up those 2 touchdowns early, but after that, they were punching the ball out, taking it away from Mason Rudolph. It was impressive. We saw. I hate when I see people on Twitter, and I know it's people that have never played football before or probably have never played an organized sport before. When they see Aaron Glenn yelling at Kirby Joseph on the sideline, they're like, "Oh, he's getting into a fight with Kirby Joseph." He's coaching him. He's just coaching it. He's getting some fire, and what happens? Kirby goes out there and he picks off Mason Rudolph. These guys are emotional. AG is just like that. AG used to be Kirby Joseph. Like they know what they're doing. It's just guys getting after it. And it fired them up. It worked.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have no issue with that. That's how the game goes. It's an emotional game. You're out there. I mean, it's violence. I think that brings high emotion in itself, on top of just the competition, and the nature of these guys that make it to that level. So, yeah, people, like you said, probably never played sports, or damn sure never played no football. I was telling Dion yesterday, our coach did this thing called the House of Pain. Anytime we faced like a big rivalry, we'd all get in a circle around him. He'd just call your name. And you run to him, be like, he'll shoulder check you, and he would take a helmet and bash it. Like that's the sport we're in. We're not in it any of these days, but that's what sport they're in.
Oh yeah, I just want to
there it is.
Hey, real quick, man, Steve-O, thanks for jumping in. Anakin, Chef Chris Smith, wanted to give a shout out again for all of y'all that jumping in.
Automatically share, but it did.
No, there it is. We are giving away one of these blankets, a Tennessee themed blanket. All you got to do is comment in the chat who your MVP of this game was. You need to be subscribed to Lions Nation Unite on YouTube. You got to smash the like button, and you could walk away with one of these blankets. If you don't win, you can go to hermanlow.com. They are available for purchase. But before we do get out of here, appreciate everyone in the chat. Make sure you smash the like button. I think we should all go around and give our MVP of this game. I'll start. I think it's easy to give it to Kalif Raymond, but I'm going to give it to Dave Phipp as the coach of the game, the coach MVP of the game, because all of his special teams units were on point. Obviously, Jake Bates, he's 11 for 11 now in his career. We know what kind. Jack Fox had like a 70-yard punt in this game. You had Khalil Dorsey returning kickoffs, and obviously Kalif Raymond with the big touchdown. Dave Phipp is the best special teams coach in the NFL, and he's finally getting some love after that performance.
I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs, just to be different here as well. Earlier, they were kind of getting the Goff. At times, the pressure was definitely on JG today, and I felt like we had to go back to establishing that run game to get that offense going in the short field that we had. With Jahmyr Gibbs, the knockout punch almost right away with the 74-yard run, that'll do it for you. So my MVP to be different, Jahmyr Gibbs.
I can live with that. What you got, CZ?
I'm not going to be different, and I'll give it to Kalif Raymond with an honorable mention to David Montgomery, who might be my MVP every single week. But you know what?
Got a little bias.
But there's a reason. I mean, he's doing something every single week, so why not?
Yeah, I mean,
way to head up my fantasy team.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to give it to Kalif Raymond. And the reason being is, listen, man, it's not often in this league the way things are going right now where you can even talk about special team players. It's almost a forgotten position, whether it's on punt returns or whether it's definitely on kickoff returns. It just doesn't happen. So I'm going to give it to him now because his name may never come back up again in any special way with special teams. We don't know. But I thought he did well offensively. He made some catches. He made some plays. He also, on the special team side, he stepped up in another role that he was asked to go out and play his best. So I'm giving it to him because of that. And then I will have to give an honorable mention to Jahmyr Gibbs, man, because I think he needed that breakout. He needed to show and put teams on alert that, this team isn't just about power running backs and just about him just getting the edge here and there and getting, some chunk yardage, but they have the ability to be big play and take it to the house at any time in the running game. So kudos there. And to the entire staff, the organization, another great win, very impressive win. And as an alum, we are extremely happy and proud of this team and this organization and what they're doing.
And, thoughts and prayers to Malcolm Rodriguez, our guy, a friend of ours, a great dude. He got carted off the field. It looked like an ankle injury. I haven't heard much about the severity of it, but it did not look good. He's an expecting father. He just got married. He's a great guy. He did a great job filling in for Derek Barnes with Barnes going down. Hopefully it's nothing too serious, and he'll be able to get back out there playing with the Lions soon. But shout out to Malcolm Rodriguez. Hopefully he heals up. But that's going to do it for us today here at Lions Nation Unite. Again, we are giving away the blanket, the Titans, Lions, Herman and Lowe blanket. Put your MVP in the chat. We will pick somebody and announce it later in the week. But make sure you smash the like button. We appreciate you all joining. Subscribe to Lions Nation Unite. For CZ, for Herman, for Easy, I'm Spencer, and we'll see you guys later. Peace.